Hello and welcome to Aspire Hired. So excited to have you all here today. This is one of my favorite topics, and we are going to be diving into how to perfect your LinkedIn profile, leveraging the power of AI. And specifically today, we're going to focus in on ChatGPT and strategies for really using the power of ChatGPT to help you perfect your profile and attract the promotions, jobs, clients that you are really excited to be attracting into your world and your future. I'm going to take a couple moments and just make sure to highlight a few settings that I'm seeing on a regular basis almost every day. People that are investing a lot of time in their profiles and making content and networking and really doing so much to find those opportunities. And yet they don't realize that their settings are set up in a way that when their profile is either discovered or shared with someone else that they, with the power to hire or promote, they're not seeing what we see or what you're seeing, your network seeing. So I'm going to just hone in on a couple things really quickly to make sure that the work that we're going to do next gets viewed by everyone who has the potential to really be a conduit to your next opportunity. So first, I want to make sure that you have customized your public profile and URL. And you can do that just by clicking the pencil icon, and that is going to change this top line in the search bar. And it's best if you can select your name if it's available. Some of you, there's already others that are using it. So, usually some form of that so that it looks really professional when it's added to a resume or within a body of a DM or an email. So, that's one thing that's good to kind of get rid of all the random numbers that are automatically assigned. And then you'll notice here on the side, mine says people you may know, but most of you are probably seeing, if you're looking at your profile or take a look at your profile, it said people also viewed. So we're going to be doing a lot of work here to perfect your profile. And when people find their way to you, we want to keep them on your profile, engaging, learning about you, and reaching out to interview you and consider you for opportunities. So you can, in your settings, you can actually turn that off. That is one of the settings. So it says people also viewed. Most of you probably have it on right now. Go ahead and turn that off. That's a great way to just not let people be distracted by other candidates. And then the last thing I'm going to focus on right now is down in the skills area. We're going to use chat to really identify the skills that are going to be ideal. And what most people do is over time they kind of build out their skills, but they tend to add skills later. So you can actually reorder. So when you click this button here, you're going to get the opportunity to reorder your skills. And so you can see here, you can just reorder them and move them around. So you want to make sure that the three skills that are essential for the job that you want next, or any skills that are going to be kind of special and unique to you, are in those top three. So move those up to the top three because that's what's showing when people are landing on your profile. They have to click to see more, to see the rest of your skills. Now, all of these skills are searchable. So, recruiters, hiring managers, anyone really, when they're searching in LinkedIn for particular skills, this is one of the places it's pulling from. So, it's definitely worth the time. So, we're going to switch over to ChatGPT. And I would love it if you could take a moment and let me know, have you tried using it? Have any of you really utilized it for making adjustments already to your profile? So I'd love to just, share with others your experience so far. And I'm going to switch over here to ChatGPT. Give me just a moment. All right. So now we are taking a look now at my ChatGPT account. And I went ahead and did a number of these prompts just to make sure it's very popular right now. And I wanted to make sure to be able to show you what happens. And So I'll walk you through it and then we can do a few live and talk through that. But in this case, what is so important is that you know that ChatGPT can be a great partner in optimizing your profile. That when you set up, this is a chat that was established, and as long as I stay in this chat, it's going to pull from this whole conversation. So it's really nice because you can be very specific. You can leave the conversation and come back to the conversation. So you can see here, you probably can't read them very well, but there's a number of things that I'm working on. For instance, Midwest Streaming and Forcelandia are coming up. So I hope you're attending one of them. But I'm working on the social for both of those. And I just come back here to this one that says announce Linda Kane, and ChatGPT is helping me with the tweets and profile, the LinkedIn posts, which is terrific. But when I leave, come and go, you can just go right back. So the work that you've done and the investment of time is yours. So in this situation, I specifically asked ChatGPT, I said, I need your help creating an optimized LinkedIn profile. I'm an experienced Salesforce business analyst, and I'm actively searching for a more senior position. I'm going to give you a sample job description, and I want you to help me identify and use it to help me identify the recommended improvements to my profile. Please act as a LinkedIn strategist. Something that's really important to keep in mind is you can direct ChatGPT to behave in certain ways. And I'll show you refinements that you can make that can also make it very personal. I do find that people will say, well, it doesn't sound anything like what I would say. And that's because it doesn't know you yet. So as you work with the model and you direct it and share with it, it can learn and create a voice that is very close to yours. So in this case, I asked it to act as a LinkedIn strategist. And what I did is on LinkedIn, I used the jobs area and I did two things. One, I just cut and pasted, I found a profile of a Salesforce business analyst position that was really interesting to me. It had the components, had a lot of details of what they were looking for. You can also, if you're not looking for one specific job and you want sort of a more broad appeal, you could take three, four, five, combine them together and do this as well. But in this case, I just found one that seemed to be quite robust, and I am using this for this whole process. I also found job descriptions, and it would be good for you to do this the same way for your prior positions. If you can actually, if you have your actual job descriptions, that's perfect, but many of us don't. So if you find similar jobs that have just similar responsibilities and impact, those kinds of things, you can cut and paste those and you want to save those. I keep them in Google Docs, which is really helpful to reference back. And the reason that we do that is we want to go ahead and take the perfection that we create and we want to look back at the prior jobs and do some work with that. But I'll show you how this works this first section. So all I did literally is I just pasted the job description here into ChatGPT. And it's can take, quite a bit, and it talks about the role, in this case it was for a bank, what I'll be doing in this role, so roles, responsibilities, specifications, must haves, what do you need to succeed, skills and knowledge. So it's really helpful to find a job description even if you're going for a job that maybe doesn't have as robust of a job description. If you find something similar that maybe contains more details, that's really helpful for ChatGPT to do its job. So in this case, it was I included some compensation, but I won't show you that. So my next question for ChatGPT and direction was based on the job description that you've been provided, give me some suggestions. So they came back with here's some key improvements to your profile. Now you can see that I didn't actually ask it yet how to make suggestions in a particular area, which we will do. But ChatGPT knows that it is a LinkedIn strategist and there's best practices around the world. And it's going from all of that, expertise and information that's out there. And it's automatically saying your LinkedIn profile should be targeted and comprehensive, highlighting key skills. So it talks about headline, the about section, experience section, skills and endorsements, certifications, recommendations, interests, activities, and some great advice for all of these. And it's reminding you to have a profile picture and banner that relates to your field. So it's really excellent right off the bat, but we're actually going to dive a little deeper. And in this case, it was like, great. Based on the job description, please list in order of importance the skills that should be included on my profile. And these are things that should be included in, themes that should be in your about section, your actual list of skills, again, reordered for the top three to be at the top, and then elements in your experience section. So those are going to be the primary places that you would put that information. So in this case, it has looked at the job description. It has looked at these elements and it's suggesting that Salesforce is key. This role is, obviously a Salesforce business analyst. Any proficiencies, business analysis, CRM, problem solving, communication, technical support or customer service, adaptability, understanding and implementing policies, procedures, technology. So there's some things that you may not, and certainly I didn't in the past, think about in particular roles. We often can get stuck into the certifications, the technical expertise, but not necessarily thinking about what are all of the components in the job that is critical. And we need to connect the dots throughout our profile. So, this was a great way. It gave us 12 that were very specific, tied to the job description and success in this role. So then I went on and said, next, I want to share my resume with you. And going forward, I'm directing ChatGPT to reference it when providing advice. So I just cut and pasted a resume that was for a business analyst with their background. And this is one I just cut and pasted and talked about qualifications, achievements, some of the roles, skills, certifications. And so literally it's just cut and pasted. And it came back and said, thank you for sharing your resume. It provides a much clearer picture of your background and skills. And in this case, it continues to refine the work that is in place for this role. And the answers that you're going to get will be more and more refined. So you'll see here, it just organizes things in such a nice way. And there's a good reminder here that LinkedIn is a social network, so the tone can be a bit more informal and conversational compared to your resume. Always keep your profile updated, be active, and engage. So there's these really valuable hints and things that you might not think about that, yes, that is something that depending on your industry, you can be perhaps a little more casual and informal. So my next step was asking ChatGPT to compare and contrast the provided resume and job description. Now, this could be for, keep in mind, this could be for a brand new job, but this could also be for a promotion. So, the same model will work if you're looking to be promoted. And the really nice thing about promotions is you often have a much richer insight into the values of the company, projects that are coming. So you can feed it very, very specific information and really refine what you put together. So, for those of you looking for promotions, optimize your LinkedIn profile for that next role. And some of the networking that we'll talk about another live, you wanted to put in place so that you're getting visibility with the people who are going to be making decisions about those promotions. But again, so I asked ChatGPT to compare and contrast the provided resume and job description, highlight the areas where I appear to be a strong candidate, and clarify areas of potential weakness that I may want to address in my resume and LinkedIn profile. So this is especially helpful when you're revising your resume or doing something a little bit of a shift, and it will help you with your strengths. So these are things you want to bring forward. You want to mention when you're networking. You want to mention when you're sending emails, that you want to really hone in on your skills. So in this case, there was Salesforce experience, which was very relevant, certifications, specific achievements, and tech skills. And it pulled out, really specific things based on my resume and that specific job description. But it also brought forward areas of potential weakness. And why I mention this is sometimes for those of us that are making a pivot, moving into a new role, or really moving into a different type of responsibility, going from an individual contributor to leadership or reverse. There's many considerations there. Knowing your potential weaknesses is so important because you want to lean into your strengths, and you have to remember there's going to be a conversation with a hiring team, hiring committee, HR, managers, and that discussion is going to come down to often comparing candidates. And sometimes you get down to a couple of candidates that everybody really sees the strengths, but what makes the difference is when they start looking at some of the weaknesses. So in this case, financial services experience is a potential weakness. But let's say that wasn't in your current business analyst role, but you did have experience in a completely unrelated job, but it is in that field. So you can bring in the language, you can make sure that there's a connection to that area of your career, even though it may have nothing to do with Salesforce. Team management and training. So perhaps your current role doesn't have anything to do with this. This may also be something that you lean into volunteer experience or classwork, depending on where you are in your career, where you can highlight the things that you've done that included team management or training. And this is sometimes where you need to beef up an area of your resume and you just don't know how to connect the dots. It often comes into this area here, Salesforce Service Cloud. Now, in this case, there wasn't much experience there, and this role is specific to Service Cloud. So maybe this is something that you want to jump in and do, put together some kind of a demo, that you want to have a project that you want to step in and do a little intern project. So sometimes just finding a way to connect the dots, or jump in and do some kind of a training or a program that allows you to have Salesforce Service Cloud incorporated into your profile. Or know that it is a weakness and make sure that you are able to address it and that you have a clear plan of action. So, for instance, if I had an interview today and that was a weakness, I would make absolutely sure that I had my study plan date to take that test and make it really clear that I would be fully committed and prepared to get that done immediately. And in this case, it was the Salesforce certification. It was some that you actually have it, but it wasn't highlighted anywhere else in your resume. So the recommendation was make sure to bring that forward, that Salesforce administrator certification, and make sure it's really obvious and not just listed down somewhere. And then the final weakness in this situation was stakeholder interaction, and that the job needs strong communication, negotiation skills, and the ability to interact with colleagues across all lines of business and functional groups. This could be a game changer for certain companies, and this is even often more important than technical skills at times, because the ability to get these projects done, it's critical that you have that ability to do that stakeholder interaction. So this again could be those behind the scenes conversations that might wipe you out of contention because there's just concern. So if you could actually bring forward on your profile, in your resume, places where you've done that work, even if it has nothing to do with Salesforce. That will be so helpful. It's also the types of things that you want to be prepared with some questions and examples for an actual interview. Okay, so let's go ahead and take the next step here. So, one thing about this is when you get going, you can end up with a lot of great information. So, for actual prompts, let's go ahead and look at that. So, we've got, your highlights, areas of weakness. We discussed that. And in this case, I have a specific prompt. And if you want copies of all of the prompts, just write in the comments prompts and I will send you over those so you have them. But here's a specific prompt. So write and optimize LinkedIn experience section using the resume provided and the information from a particular article. So this was an article that Careerflow did. But this is also, I think, in terms of Salesforce Ben and the amazing articles that they have. So you can actually direct ChatGPT to take the information from a particular article and incorporate it in its answer. So in this case, I asked them again to use the resume I provided, use the reference and article that was done, and it gave me some information about how I could optimize the LinkedIn experience section. So in this case, it was taking, the background, it talked about impact, results, did a really nice job of taking what I had in the resume and just, kind of old school format listed out, but made it much richer in terms of the specifics that you're using, the impact, the numbers. And I would caution you here that ChatGPT isn't perfect, and you never want to just assume that what is provided is correct because it is not always correct. So you definitely want to, this is to be a partner with you. It is to be a great helper to help that. I don't know about you, but when I look at a blank screen or a blank piece of paper, sometimes it's just, I don't know how to get started. And it's brilliant at that. But you do want to go through in detail, but it really helps get some very good ideas. So it goes through and really takes, and this is where you can also, what I've done in many times now is I've just kind of brain dumped and I'll just put sentence after sentence after sentence. What did I do? How did I do it? How did it make a difference? All of that. And it will then put it in a format that's optimized. And I'm asking it to do so. And it's just so helpful. And it's here is like the key takeaways from the article, for instance, is using action verbs, being specific with your achievements, mentioning how you contributed in your past companies. So it's a great way to take some of the best thinking that's out there and think about all the, thought leaders. We have an incredible group of people who are producing information and sharing best practices, great articles, and you can have ChatGPT really take that. I would say there are many people who have specific formats that they recommend for places on LinkedIn or resumes or frankly everything. I use it, really every day for so many things. But in this case, it helps you to take the best practices and then make it your own. So many people have done work for years in these areas and there's some fantastic folks, and there's others that you may want to, use three different ones and figure out what's the best voice for you. You can also create really kind of complex prompts, and I'll share one with you that was really interesting. So, you can make this very personal. And in this case, it was asking for a one-liner. So, and this is for an about section, and to start it with getting the person connected in. You know how, Salesforce customers struggle with implementation. Well, that's what I help with. I work with the target market by doing what in order to get a result. Success. When clients work with me, they see and some results, a variety of results. You can have the empathy. So this was something that you could tell it, how you want it to feel. That you want to, in this case, highlight the problem and the empathy. I understand how it is to feel this way. The authority of showing that you're someone that is a solution to their challenge, that hiring you is going to really be an answer to what they're trying to do. Creating a call to action and your contact information. You ask it to make sure to include searchable terms. So, things that recruiters, hiring managers, potential clients are going to be searching for in the search bar. Hard skills, job titles, industry keywords. And finally, is asking ChatGPT to use the information from the resume provided and the context of the job descriptions. So, there isn't necessarily one size fits all prompts, although there's some amazing ones that I use over and over. You could really start to work with it and decide what you want. You can pick the tone and you can create something and then you just use it over and over and you keep it. But in this case, you'll see it came up with just a really interesting about section. And when you're starting, it's a great way to customize it. So sometimes I know, experts in the space are saying, customize to everything or create one like perfected and just use it. I think ChatGPT makes it much easier to tweak things so that it is most relevant and aligns best with a particular opportunity. It also allows you to take sort of a range of opportunities and combine them and create something that still feels a bit customized. So it does take some time to play with it and make sure you're comfortable. But in this case, it came up with this answer. You know how businesses struggle with effective use and implementation of Salesforce? Well, that's where I come in. I work with companies by leveraging my extensive knowledge and experience in Salesforce to help them maximize their use of the platform, improve ROI, and increase customer satisfaction. When clients work with me, they see savings in time and resources, increased sales performance, streamlined processes, and how that works. When it comes to Salesforce use, I know you want to be efficient and innovative. I understand how frustrating and costly it can be. That's why I'm proud to say I've helped two major companies drastically improve their Salesforce operation results. So these may or may not be your words, but I hope that you see a pattern here of where it can really help you find, research and use the experts. They provide, and you can even ask ChatGPT, give me 5 examples of optimized templates for an about section, and just feed it and see what it comes up with. This is a lot of people struggle with the what do you do? And this is something where in networking, sending messages, it can be awkward. So, with a one line, what do you do? This is a prompt. So, I help who accomplish what by doing Z and use the information from the resume and the job description. And what it came up with is I help financial services businesses optimize their Salesforce operations, enhance customer experience, and drive business growth by implementing data driven sales solutions and process improvements. Of course, this needs to be true. But when you put that into your profile, it feels very familiar and connected to what someone is searching for and is quite smooth. You can also use that in the headlines. So there's so many different formats about headlines and I have my preferences, but I think there's some really good solid ones. And this is where you can take the template that you like. I know, you just put the template in, but I would make it a little richer and add under 240 characters and you tell it how long. It's not perfect, I have to say that. Use the information from the resume. It came up with a new headline. I help financial services firms increase ROI and customer satisfaction using advanced Salesforce solutions, skilled business analyst, Salesforce certified, actively seeking opportunities. That last one is debatable. You'll get both sides of the aisle in terms of whether that's a good idea or not. But I think you can see how it can combine everything to make it feel very custom. And finally, I know we're going to need to wrap up here shortly, but this I was saying next, I need your help identifying transferable skills and elements from my prior career to highlight. I need to do my best to connect my past career to my desired role as an advanced Salesforce business analyst. I'm providing a job description from my prior role. Please use it to give me advice about skills to feature, examples, and potential impact to include in my About section and Experience section. So I literally cut and paste a job description. In this case, it was a special agent with the FBI with education and teaching background. So, not a Salesforce business analyst. Again, listed out the information about duties and what would be required. And I found that ChatGPT said your prior role and background provides numerous transferable skills, which can enhance your role as a business analyst. Here you go. So this helped really help me consider what is it that I could include, and then what stories could I prepare, interview answers could I come up with, bullet points to include on a resume. And in this case, it was analytical skills, your ability to simplify complex material and present it with clear explanations. That's important. Communication and presentation skills. This ability is particularly useful in the Salesforce domain to communicate with stakeholders. These are also incredible answers to interview questions. Adaptability, your adaptability to be available to go on assignments anywhere in the world on temporary or long-term basis indicates you're adaptable and flexible. This can translate well into managing and implementing solutions. So you can see, some of these things I know I wouldn't have thought of. Work ethic. There's some, really important elements there. Leadership and teamwork, education background. So, in this, your prior roles, duties, particularly the ability to handle complex tasks, solve problems, and adapt to changing situations, can all be highlighted as indicators of your capacity to excel. I asked it to provide some sample templated bullet points that I could use in my experience section. And here were some very specific ones that I thought were really great from sparking your thoughts. So, again, you want this to be yours and your words. But I thought this was, really interesting to think about how do you include these in bullets and again in interview preparation. So in this case, it was, led cross-functional teams to successful Salesforce solution implementations, capitalizing on my prior experience in handling complex cases and teamwork in the FBI. So I just think about that richness when sometimes, you're faced with they're looking for someone with 7 years of experience and maybe you have two. If you can find a way to really weave the themes and make your career, whatever it looks like, be relevant to why you're the right person to step in and earn that promotion or be hired for that opportunity. This was compare the Salesforce business analyst job to the job description of the special agent and identify more themes and skills that could make me stand out as a unique candidate. So again, it we got some of that already, but we want to get a little richer. And I thought this was kind of interesting. Adherence to standards and rigorous processes. This analytical work under pressure, mental stamina, experience with diverse teams and cases. So richer ideas and things that could really help you bring all of your profile to life and everything connected. This was a question I needed to obtain additional recommendations for my LinkedIn profile. Many of you do not have the right recommendations that are relevant for the job that you want next. It's very valuable to have them received and to give them, and giving them in a way that is relevant to how you want to be viewed in your next role. So if you're looking for somebody who wants to be expanding your influence and having more leadership, or maybe somebody who wants to be in a much more technical role, advanced technical role, try and think in terms of what kind of recommendations could you give that are genuine and supportive of that person, but also feature you as someone who they would expect to see in the role you want next. But you can ask ChatGPT to say, in this case, I said, I'm going to be asking for recommendations. Please help me craft a brief, direct message that I could send former colleagues, clients, bosses to request that they write me a recommendation. I would like to share with them a little about the role I'm seeking and what types of skills and strengths would support my job search. Many people just freeze when they're asking for a recommendation, like they feel awkward, and then people receive recommendations and that feels awkward because even if you're so thrilled to give a recommendation, sometimes it's just you don't even know where to start of what would you say. And so often it turns into like, this is such a special person, she's amazing, you'd be lucky to hire her, or he's an incredible talent, and they might feature something about the job that has nothing to do with the next job. So in this case, it gave something that was a message that you could say, I'm currently in the process of updating my LinkedIn profile and I'm seeking new opportunity as a Salesforce business analyst. This role is a perfect blend of my analytical experience, problem solving skills, and my passion for leveraging technology. As we've worked together on a specific project or role, you have a good understanding of my skills and capabilities. I believe your insight would provide value to anyone visiting my profile. In particular, it'd be really helpful if you could highlight any of the following. And, perhaps it would be any specific project or a specific project that I demonstrate my expertise with Salesforce or similar platforms. Any occasions where I exhibited my ability to work under pressure or adapt to changing circumstances, you could remind them of a time that that had happened. Then this might be a little long, but if you take this and just consolidate it down, and it'll give you that spark of inspiration about what to say, it's incredibly helpful to receive that recommendation request that way. Then you get what you're looking for, and that person is really able to help. Once I've had my profile updated and optimized, I want to start networking, and requesting brief informational interviews help me create a relevant and optimized message. So this is the same thing. It's like you can create these messages, but the reason I wanted to show you this next was it gave me an answer, and it was not quite it didn't sound like me, right? So then I would say, please leave. It's sometimes just funny to see, but your journey and accomplishment on this trail have truly inspired me, and I'd be stoked to learn from your experiences. But you can just continue to find the vibe. And this one was, next adapted to be more starstruck. And it can just customize it again in a way that it could be more professional. It could be, and this works beautifully in everything and everywhere that you're asking ChatGPT, is that you can ask it to act as anything. It could be, act as a copywriting expert and help me refine this experience section to be a bit more informal and warm. Or if you're in a more formal, um, you know, technical versus financial, like maybe if you're applying to a particular financial role, you want to make it a tad more formal or conservative. It's really up to you. But I hope that this is a good overview of what is possible and how often you can, take advantage of ChatGPT. Let me see if there are entry level. So sorry, the way that I was reading ChatGPT, I couldn't see your comments, but I'm going back through here. So I will definitely put the prompts down. I will add the link to the Google document so you can have those. They're just a good springboard, and you can just try any of them. And there's so many great prompts being shared on LinkedIn as well. Let's see. In terms of entry level, I think in this case, it really is connecting the dots, and I think that ChatGPT for me, having helped a lot of people in my, most recent role in the recruiting space, it was so difficult sometimes, and I think being able to feed ChatGPT your past experience, paid, unpaid, volunteer, school, um, all of these great programs that are happening out there when you're working with, clicked. And if you just feed all of that and use that language, use job descriptions, and just help it create things in a way that are absolutely, you want to be honest, and you don't want ChatGPT to write it all for you, but it can really do the heavy lifting of how do I connect the dots? And sometimes when we're in a job and we're early on in our career, we think of it as so irrelevant, but so often it's relevant, and that's what leaders are looking for. Obviously, if they're looking for a deep level of expertise in a technical area, you may not be the right person. But for many people, they're looking for someone who can learn and grow and make themselves relevant, that they have a plan, they can demonstrate that they have the capacity for it. So I haven't seen anything better than ChatGPT for that in particular. So I am so grateful for the time that you spent with me. I'm hoping to do another one and actually do it live, but ChatGPT is under such high demand right now, it will stall out. And the other thing that is happening, if you have the highest version, which is level 4 right now, is it limits the prompts that you can have in an hour. So that's another. But I would say for those of you who are kind of curious, if the currently the 3.5, or if you have the paid for version, 3.5 is unbelievable. I'm truly mind blowing what it does. But I would say 4 is even better. It's just stunning. So thank you all. I will get the link to the prompts, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you. And if you all find some prompts that work well for you, drop them in the comments and we'll compile them and share them.